Tim Pool has been a very naughty boy. According to Media Matters, do you know who Media Matters are?
I've read some articles. They seem to me to be irreparably woke.
Well, well, yeah, but that's like saying the Catholic Church seems to be irreparably Catholic, which actually it's not anymore. So maybe that was a bad metaphor.
Yeah,
but yes, Media Matters is a left-wing propaganda machine designed to create hit pieces to try and get people deplatformed, and that's what's happening to my friend Tim Pool. And I thought I'd go through it. But before we begin, if you're a supporter, let's go over to the website and go check out this latest Contemplations, which is fantastic. How accurate are stereotypes? I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but you may know the answer already. Anyway, Media Matters gives us Tim's year in review. You're doing well, Tim. This is how you know you're succeeding, man. When Media Matters are like, oh, you need to get rid of Tim Pool. Why? Because he's a Nazi. Which is basically the thrust of the entire article. Look at this title. Extremists, bigots, and conspiracy theorists. YouTuber Tim Pool's 2022 guests in review. Well, hell, I mean, I'm going to go watch it. What a great avatar. I want to know what the extremist, bigots, and conspiracy theorists think. Sounds exciting. What am I going to do? Tune into the mainstream TV where I get given woke propaganda talking points that I've heard a million times before?
I've read a bit, I must say. Yeah. And it seems to me that the bigots are those who are concerned with children education.
Well,
about
yes.
About LGBTQ issues. So
people opposed to grooming children are called bigots a lot. That's true.
And yeah.
But I just think this is fantastic advertising. And like, again, Justin Horowitz from within his extremely left-wing echo chamber is like, that's right, I'm going to mark them with a big flashlight. I'll highlight them all. Look at that. Oh, extremist bigot. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, that's one way of looking at it. But from the other way of looking at it, you're also highlighting all of the interesting people that Tim has on his podcast that are entertaining to listen to. I mean, you know, you may not have realized, Justin, but I'm here to tell you. But he says Pool's show is... Oh, sorry, go on.
What happened to no such thing as bad publicity?
Exactly. Yeah. You don't realise that you're actually... And this was the thing with Boris Johnson, when he was like, Muslim women wearing burqas look like letterboxes. And they were all like, oh, we'll post that everywhere. And then Boris Johnson wins an astounding landslide victory. It's like, yeah, but you didn't consider that maybe a lot of people agree with him.
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyway, Mr. Horowitz says... Pool's show is broadcast from a Maryland studio where he wears his signature black beanie all year round. A steady rotation of guests and co-hosts sits alongside Pool in matching gamer chairs and headphones as they discuss the day's news, often pushing misinformation and conspiracy theories as they bounce off each other's reactionary commentary. In summary, they're not woke. Good.
Yep.
Good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love conspiracy theories. I think they're fascinating. And when you say misinformation, well, I hear factual information. Pool, who has 1.4 million YouTube subscribers and a history of working with white nationalists, is reportedly making a fortune from his live streams. So I clicked on the link for working with white nationalists, and you'll be surprised. It's when he went to the White House. Trump invited him to the White House.
Okay.
Just say good job on the job you're doing, because Tim voted for Trump. Yep. He's not like a diehard MAGA supporter or anything, but better than the alternative. Trump or Hillary, Trump or Biden. Well, it's obviously Trump. And so, that's the reason that he is working with white nationalists. Is because Tim Pool has spoken to people with whom he disagrees. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
What a Nazi.
Well, as Biden said some time ago, that it is all connected, and bad views come all to a package.
Yep.
And if there is no distinction between either of them.
That's true. And if you, it's kind of like going in a swimming pool.
Right?
Yeah. You've got water on you. You got the wetness of it. Oh no. See, now you are a part of the swimming pool. You have merged yourself into it. Because he says Pool has been a guest on InfoWars, and in 2017 he offered to help InfoWars' Paul Joseph Watson investigate an area of Sweden that Watson called crime-ridden migrant suburbs. That's because they were crime-ridden migrant suburbs. Anyway, back to the article. YouTube is profiting from Pool's podcast, raking in about $65,000 from Pool's channel between October and November 2020-2021. And the platform has gone so far as to promote its channel on its front page, as if anyone looks at YouTube's front page. On November the 28th, his live stream with Hitler fanboy Ye, the rapper formerly known as Kanye West, was the most watched live stream on the platform.
Was that where Ye left?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Yes, because he was in the middle of a controversy. So Tim Pool invited him on to contradict his views, and Kanye just got up and left after being contradicted.
Yeah.
So implying that Tim somehow agrees with Kanye West's Hitler fanboyism. Nice one, Media Matters.
This is just like saying that if you don't agree with us with respect to canceling those you disagree with, you're part of
basically a Nazi, yeah.
Yeah, you're a Nazi. Yeah.
But this is making Tim sound very interesting, right? It's making it, wow, most watched live stream with Kanye West. Well, that's a great point. Maybe I'll go check that out.
I must say, I always like listening to other people.
Yeah.
Whether I disagree with them or not, because I just like finding out how they think. And this is a way to actually establish a communication.
Yeah.
Yes,
and just understanding their paradigm.
Yeah.
How they look at the world. He says the type of guest that Poole invites on his show varies. Some are elected officials, while others are comedians and culture warriors. Poole rarely invites guests who will push back against his right-wing perspective. He does. He invites left-wingers on his show all the time. They just won't go. They just refuse. We don't invite left-wingers because we don't expect them to come. But Tim actually does invite them, and they don't go. I speak to Tim about this, and he's just like, they just won't come. They just won't come. And it's like, yeah, there we go. They just won't come. What can you do?
Do they give him a reason?
Because he is going to talk to them flatly about the fact that he's not woke and he doesn't believe what they think.
Yeah.
Therefore, Tim has a right-wing perspective, which shows you a lot about the perspective of the person who wrote this article, right? Because, I mean, a rational person would listen to Tim Pool and his famously, and in his own words, quote, milquetoast centrist views, center-left liberal views, and this is not me misrepresenting Tim. These are direct quotes from Tim, right? And they would say, he's quite a moderate. Because he is. And then someone says, he's right-wing. Well, then I know that you're very, very far to the left. If you're incapable of characterizing Tim Pool as a moderate, then you are the one who has the distorted perspective. Anyway, do you want to add something?
No, I want to say that what I'm fascinated about Tim Pool's case is that his stance on free speech.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that by having a diverse, let's say, list of guests.
Dare we say.
Why is diversity a problem here? By having, people of all sorts of perspectives, he helps us basically state the obvious that when we talk about left and right, not everyone on the left is the same and not everyone on the right is the same. But this isn't message that leftists, or at least woke leftists, want, because they do want to carve the political spectrum into the good guys with all these beliefs, and you have to have all of these beliefs to qualify as good, and the bad guys.
Who is anything outside of
anything else.
And that's exactly the point that they make now, right?
Yeah.
As explained by reporter Robert Silverman, who has covered Tim Pool's show. So Robert Silverman, big fan then. Whenever a right-wing politician, personality, or group enters the news cycle, Pool finds a way to sand down their actual stated beliefs or claim ignorance. Well, maybe, just maybe, he agrees with them. Maybe he's not a left-winger. And so, if someone's straddling the centre, you can see some virtue in the left, you can see some virtue in the right, and then when you get a group of people who come along and say, no, there's no virtue in the right, well, Tim Pool has to be like, that part of the right that is correct, I agree with, because it's correct. That you are willfully blind to and have a priori categorized as wrong. Like, the problem is not Tim, it's you guys. Anyway, let's talk about who else is bad, shall we? Cassandra McDonald, who's Tim's editor-in-chief. I've met Cassandra. Nice person. Seemed really nice, actually. Appears to have had a hand in booking Pool's guests. Oh, no. She books the guests for the show. She has previously worked for the Kremlin-funded news outlet Sputnik. Okay. Who funds Media Matters? Dare I ask? The answer is, of course, going to be George Soros. I actually don't know if it's George Soros, but someone in the chat, go find out. And when it turns out to be Soros, then I'll just take the credit. But she has been accused of flashing a white power sign. She's been accused of flashing a white power hand sign. That was the white power hand sign. Unironically, I looked this up. Freelance journalists Mike Cernovich and Cassandra Fairbanks posed for a picture at the podium in the White House briefing room, and in the photo, they are making a hand sign that can be used to signify white power. Ms. Fairbanks' supporters pointed out that the hand sign is also used to mean okay. Photos show people of all races using the symbol to signify that everything's all right. It was the okay sign. You profound lying propagandists. Back to the article, though. They carry on. Paul's regular co-hosts, employees and guests appear to mirror his own thinking. My God. They're rather sensible, centrist-minded people as well. What a shock.
But clearly they mustn't claim, they mustn't be claiming that all of his guests have the same views.
No, they're certainly not. Just the co-hosts, the employees, fair enough, they can have the same views. But guests appear to mirror his own thinking. So they're accusing, if they mirror his own thinking, then basically they're saying that Tim Pool is far-right white nationalist, whatever crazy misogynist, anti-LGBT extremist is what they're saying.
I think that I really don't know the person. As you say, you know him.
Yeah, he's not.
But I've
it's actually preposterous to say.
No. I'm not accusing him.
No,
really.
I know. But
I'm
it's
just
funny
saying
that
there are some people, especially when they interview and talk to others, who are doing something like, I think it was called a mirror technique,
right?
And they try to establish rapport. And they don't go instantly when they have someone they disagree with. Yeah. Like, for instance, he had with Kanye West. They don't go immediately, oh, I disagree with you. You're a piece of
Because if you give them the first couple of points that they make, then they'll come out and tell you the real meat of what's behind their views. And you'll get to see, okay, actually, that is kind of ludicrous.
Yes. And this is a far better way of showing people what it is that they believe. Their guests believe. True. Yeah. And I saw him being criticized by Young Turks precisely on this account, that he tried to lure Kanye West in opening up.
And they were being critical of him of Tim in the exact moment of contradiction with Kanye West. They were complaining that he wouldn't contradict Kanye West. And it's like, he's literally doing it in the clip you're talking about.
And with his general stance.
Yeah. Yeah, his general position, he's already laid out. I don't agree with you. Now tell me what you think. But they say, he's pushed white nationalist talking points, baselessly accused a journalist of being a paedophile. Oh yeah, baselessly, defended anti-Semitic comments, and pushed a litany of conspiracy theories. Furthermore, Paul is an advocate for a second US civil war, often discussing an impending civil war on his podcast on Twitter. I just laugh at this. He's an advocate of a second civil war, is he? What side's he on?
It's like fear baiting.
It's amazing. It's just amazing.
If his views were similar to Kanye West's, why did Kanye West leave?
Yeah, exactly. Why did he storm off? Because Tim Pool wouldn't agree with him. Yeah. But Paul's an advocate for a second civil war. I love it. I love the idea that Tim Pool is just on the podcast going, look, guys, the South is going to rise again, I'm telling you.
And he will use this samurai sword that I said before to fight.
Exactly. It's so ridiculous. So anyway, they give us a breakdown of the guests from Timcast IRL in 2022. And man, I tell you what, if this isn't a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is, right? So Kanye West appeared after making anti-Semitic comments on the Twitter. After his appearance, he was a guest on InfoWars, but there's no mention of Kanye storming off because Tim didn't agree with him. No mention of that, right? But instead, he went on InfoWars and said something else somewhere else. It's like, okay, but why would you care what they said somewhere else? He didn't say it on Tim's podcast. And the thing is, they include this clip, right? And they say, Paul and his guests later lauded Yee's InfoWars appearance and cheered on his Yee for President campaign. That's not what happens in that clip. In that clip, they're like, okay, he's kind of a lunatic. And good for Alex Jones to have him on so we could see him being a lunatic. Yeah. Like exactly as you were saying. In fact, they weren't praising Kanye West or even really Alex Jones. It was just good that they got to hear it. But anyway, they had Nick Fuentes on, a white nationalist leader and Holocaust denier. I think that's giving Fuentes too much credit, to be honest. Again, I don't even dislike Fuentes really as a person, but I just call him a white nationalist leader. Okay. White supremacist collaborator and conspiracy theorist, Jack Posobiec. Jack, mate, not you too. Like, sorry, you're a white nationalist. You're a white supremacist. You're not even a white nationalist. Like, Nick Fuentes is just a white nationalist. You're a white supremacist. This surely gives you kudos and credit above Nick Fuentes. Like, surely Nick Fuentes should be your sidekick. And then we get former Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio. He's a white nationalist too. Average white nationalist. I mean, he's not white, but that's just pretty accurate. Far-right representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right, so an elected representative. She's a conspiracy theorist and an anti-LGBTQ bigot with close ties to white nationalists. Oh, who could have imagined? Right-wing radio host and PragerU founder Dennis Prager. Anti-LGBTQ misogynist and racist. Probably a white nationalist as well, let's be fair. He was, and a climate change denier and an election fraud conspiracy theorist. You must have had a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah.
I've never...
No, I would really... I will watch the interview now that you mentioned it, because I want to see how Prager thinks.
I mean, there's so many ists and phobes that they bring up. I'm starting to think this is where all the cool kids are hanging out these days. Yeah. Look at all these notable people that Tim's had on his podcast. This sounds really interesting. Radio host Jesse Kelly has pushed conspiracy theories, made anti-LGBTQ misogynistic comments. Kelly once told Fox News host Tucker Carlson that the military need type A men who want to sit on a throne of Chinese skulls. And they put this in the embed. It's like, they don't need gay-friendly men. We need kind of men who want to sit on the throne of Chinese skulls. It's like, well, who disagrees with that?
I mean, in the army, you need to... Okay, obviously, you need people that are a bit... how should I say? They should control their aggression, but they should have the ability to be aggressive. Otherwise, they cannot defend.
The very purpose of an army is to kill people.
Yeah.
That's what an army is.
Hopefully in defense, but...
Sometimes you have to do it proactively. Yeah, anyway. Far-right figure Lauren Southern. Oh, Lauren Southern as well, I suppose. Okay, fine. She's got a history of pushing racist propaganda. Of course she does. I mean, I met Lauren. She's a lovely girl. Don't know what to tell you. Yeah. The Daily Wire's Michael Knowles. Even my boy Knowles. Even he is an anti-LGBTQ bully. He hosted a podcast with Paul in April. All my favorites have appeared on Tim's show.
They switched bigot with bully. They've used bigot around 6 times now.
Yeah.
Then they put bully.
Far-right YouTuber John Doyle. Oh, not John. I like John too. He's closely associated with white nationalists. Oh, John, how could you? Doyle was on Timcast in November. Right-wing pundit and Blaze TV host Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin?
They clearly cannot say David Rubin is for an extremist.
Well, they are. He attacked diversity and inclusion hiring efforts. Oh, no. No, not attacking diversity and inclusion hiring efforts. Compared climate activist Greta Thunberg to Adolf Hitler. And, of course, made disparaging comments about the LGBT community. So, Dave Rubin, average Nazi.
They hate humor.
Yes, they do.
Yes, it's everything is...
Yep.
Everything, you have to constantly say that, you have to constantly recreate our ideology. Yeah. And if you do not, you're a bigot and a bully and a far-right white nationalist.
But this is just such a great list. Zuby as well. Like, all of my friends are on Tim, and Media Matters is anti-LGBTQ bigot and rapper.
Again, another
Zuby, you're just a bigot.
The word
mate.
Bigot.
Yeah, bigot. Oh, okay. Former Blaze TV host and YouTuber Elijah Schaefer sat down with Paul in April and recorded. He's an anti-LGBTQ pundit and misogynist. I don't even know what to say. It's just he's a misogynist. Well, maybe. Great credentials, to be honest. Timcast employee and frequent co-host Ian Crossland has claimed that Yi would be looked at as someone who saved the Jews following his pro-Nazi rants, and has described Native Americans as cannibals. Was that in the same podcast or what? It sounds like a riot. All of this sounds like humor to me. I haven't watched every single podcast Tim's made, obviously. Then you got the Babylon Bee CEO, Seth Dillon. He's an anti-LGBTQ bigot. Just bigot. Andrew Clavin from the Daily Wire. He's a racist, sexist, anti-LGBTQ commentary. And finally on this list I'm going to mention is right-wing provocateur Andy No, who's covered for far-right extremists and spread conspiracy theories.
I think this shows to a very large extent the fear that woke ideologues have of people.
Of letting people hear opposing
Yeah, of
views.
free speech, because they show that they do not trust people. Because I think that if we have a fundamental sense of trust towards people, we will think that if they hear of a large array of views, they will make up their mind.
Yes.
But they don't trust people with making up their mind. They think people are stupid.
It's not even that. I think it's so patently obvious that people will side in against LGBT or radical left-wing ideology, that if these things are permitted to be heard, then obviously that objection, Your Honor, their reasonable statement completely destroys my case. Yeah. That's why they must be silenced. That's basically how I've come to it. It's like, look, it's so obvious that these people have nothing, and that's why Media Matters are doing what they're doing here. They want to shut them down, because they want to shut them down. Why? Because they are just not woke, and non-woke people are destroying our movement. They need to be silenced.
Thanks very much for watching this segment from the podcast Lotus Eaters, and I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas right now. If you enjoyed that and want more, you can subscribe to our website for as little as £5 per month to gain access to all of our premium content. We have also recently started a merch store, so you can go on there and find anything from backpacks to t-shirts to hoodies and far more, so you can find any gift that you want on there for someone who's a fan. If you'd like to learn more about what we're doing on the day-to-day, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.